8Con. What up, viewers? What up, what up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, August 20th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. As I was making fun of QuakeCon in my cold open, I was going to cover QuakeCon this week. QuakeCon isn't over yet, so there hasn't been a lot of kind of overarching articles about it, so I haven't read too much about it, other than I watched most of day one of QuakeCon so far. Besides the technical difficulties that I was making fun of, all in good jest, they did talk about having Quake 1 through 3 remastered, and that's coming soon. It's coming to Game Pass and PC, which I think is pretty cool because I never actually played any of the Quake games. I think I played competitive, and I had to have played a competitive Quake. I don't remember which one, probably 2. At some point in my life, because I definitely remember running around and picking up guns. But besides that, I would really like to go back and just kind of see what Quake's all about, and listening to some of the older developers talk about how they really revolutionized the genre and brought it into 3D, where Doom and Wolfenstein was very 2D. So I thought that was all pretty cool, and I just, yeah, it's a very influential game and something I wouldn't mind picking back up. So I'm looking forward to checking out QuakeCon. They also had a deep dive on Deathloop, talking about the PvP experience, what that's really going to be like, and what the benefits are for each person, and how fun it'll be. And so that's about as far as I got in QuakeCon. Other than that, I didn't want to spend too much time on that because it's not really wrapped up yet, and I haven't seen too much more besides that. Haven't been able to catch up on it, but I'll probably cover up a full recap next week to get everything that they talked about. But it was cool checking out QuakeCon. I'm obviously a big fan of QuakeCon. I've already ordered the 2 shirts that they are selling for QuakeCon, so I'm excited about it. Just wanted to acknowledge that it is happening right now, and I'll probably summarize it next week. Moving right along, we did have a big announcement this week. Call of Duty is finally, I think previously it had been leaked or had been teased, so Call of Duty Vanguard was officially announced this week. They talked about all the maps that were coming to the game. They announced a release date. They had announced the World War II setting, which I'm, I guess, kind of, I don't know. This is kind of inevitable. I kind of looked down on it a little bit. So we're going back to World War II. The campaign will take place over the course of, you'll have 4 different campaigns in different parts of Europe and Northern Africa. But it is all about, you're going to be part of this kind of special forces branch, and it's going to be, again, playing on all of the stuff that you know and love from Call of Duty, the World War II settings. It doesn't have any relationship to the previous World War II Call of Duty titles, so don't have any overlapping characters. But yeah, they're going to set it in the World War II setting. Interesting enough, they will have a campaign, which apparently is not guaranteed for all Call of Duty games, and the question is, how much will this integrate with Warzone and all that kind of stuff? So it'd be interesting to see kind of what happens there. And as I somewhat easily predicted, Call of Duty is going to be late this year. It comes out on November 5th, which might be the latest Call of Duty's ever come out. I haven't checked the full numbers on that. The latest I can remember was November 3rd was the release date a while back. Correct me if I'm wrong down below, but it's got to be one of the later Call of Duties. I'm wondering, again, how much of them are just going to be milking some of Warzone, and how much of it is technical difficulties and delays due to COVID and all that kind of stuff. Interesting to see what's coming out for Call of Duty. I'll probably pick it up and play the campaign like I usually do, and then mess around with the multiplayer for a little bit and then put it down like I normally do. Moving right along, Pokemon did a Pokemon Presents this week. So there was a bunch of big updates on Pokemon titles. The big one, the first one they started off with, was Pokemon Unite is coming to mobile. It's coming to mobile in September, so you'll be able to play cross-platform with Switch owners. You'll have a single account across both platforms. I mean, this definitely seemed like something they were going to do. I believe the studio behind Pokemon Unite is used to making mobile games, so porting a Switch title over to mobile, I don't know is going to be too difficult. And the controls are simple enough that I do think it would be it could be quite fun to play on mobile. Not related, but they did announce the new character was going to be Blissey. I thought that was really interesting that they had a Pokemon Presents this week, and I don't think that the Blissey announce of the new character was part of that. So, yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, the evolution of Chansey is going to be in Pokemon Unite as a new support character, and excited to see that because there is not, like I said previously, there is not a lot of support characters and different roles to play. But there's a lot of different roles, but not a lot of depth to each of those roles. So excited to see a support character get brought in. They also talked a little bit about Shining Diamond and Brilliant Pearl or whatever. I'm not too interested in the kind of 1.5 versions of the Pokemon titles. I'm still waiting around for the next Pokemon title, which I'll talk about just briefly. But we did get a announcement for a new Switch model, which is a Switch Lite version, which is it's a dark plastic, like a dark black plastic. But then on the back, you'll have the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl characters on the back of it. So if you're looking for a Switch Lite, a special order Switch Lite, or a unique Switch Lite, could be for you. Last but not least, they did talk about Pokemon Arceus, which is still coming out in January, at the end of January of next year. And they really went into what the open world gameplay is going to be like. You'll be running around. You have to, sneak up on some more frightful Pokemon. You'll have to defend yourself against the more aggressive Pokemon. It was really cool how they talked about kind of the stealth mechanics, and it really is going to feel like an open world Pokemon game, which I think a lot of people are excited about, including myself. They talked about a new kind of like initiative kind of system where your Pokemon could potentially go multiple times before the reactionary Pokemon. Talk about how you have to like quick draw and deploy your Pokemon before the fight. So they're really leaning in on this like open worldness, and I think a lot of people are really gonna respond to how open world it feels. It really feels like it's a fleshed out open world Pokemon game, which I think a lot of people will enjoy, including myself. I'm looking forward to it. Another game that I'm excited about launched this week, 12 Minutes from Annapurna Interactive, one of my favorite publishers / developers. Launched 12 Minutes, a game that I've been excited for all summer. A game has a great cast. It's got James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe, which I am all of their work. Game launched this week. It's a time loop kind of murder mystery, and you have to try and convince your partner that they're in a time loop and that you can experience these things. I think it's really cool. I think the perspective is really cool. That it's the fact that it's like top down, and I'm curious as to how much you can break out of the loop. That's something I've been really excited for. Game's currently sitting at a 79 Metacritic, so again, I think that's around the range where if this is something you're interested in, that's good enough to kind of pull the trigger. At least that's kind of how I rationalize it, but not enough to like stop everything and play it immediately. So that's kind of what my sense is, but I'm really excited for it. I think it's on Xbox Game Pass, so I'll be looking to play it there. And if not, then I'll pay for it on Steam and play it there. But very excited to check into 12 Minutes. Let me know what you think down below. Also saw a gameplay trailer this week for another game that's coming out. A game it kind of like vaguely rung a bell. I don't really think about it a lot, but Black Myth Wukong. We saw, I guess, pre-alpha gameplay, but the gameplay was running at 4K and 60 frames per second with ray tracing, so very beautiful gameplay. And I remember thinking that it was like, of the two things that I remember about this title, I remember it being somewhat Soulsborne, and so we actually get to see kind of how the boss fight works. I think it'll be a little bit closer to like Sekiro than necessarily like a Dark Souls game, but I'm really enjoying. I really liked what I saw. I'm not typically a fan of the Soulsborne games. I've played Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, baby's first Dark Souls, so I'm not too big into it, but I really liked kind of the visuals. The game looked beautiful, and I really enjoyed kind of all the technical specs that I got to see in that gameplay. So I'll have a link down below so you can check it out yourself. Fortnite is in a little bit of hot water this week, and by a little bit I mean a very little bit. They're having a feud with some of the Innersloth developers, the developers of Among Us, for their new imposter mode, which feels a little bit on the nose, and that's exactly what they're in hot water for. They're releasing their own kind of Among Us mod that is called Imposter Mode. You could have dolled up the name a little bit, and the Innersloth devs have reacted and said, hey, this map looks a little bit too much on the nose, and the fact that you called it Imposter Mode, we've reached out before and tried to work with you, so far we haven't heard, I don't think we've heard back from Fortnite, but a couple of the devs have gone to Twitter from Innersloth and said, hey, feels a little weird, what about it? Not that I'm saying that, Innersloth or Among Us owns all social deduction games or anything like that. I just think that, and I think that's kind of what they were saying for Innersloth, was there could have been a little bit more effort to dress it up, make it look just different enough to not feel like a really blatant kind of ripoff. So interesting. Let me know what you think down below. Saw a really cool video on GameSpot this week that joins the two of the things I love most, and that was psychology and gaming. The idea was that using positive psychology, which is a branch of psychology that talks about kind of how to make people happier, or not make people happier, but what is happiness really is, how do you stretch it, like psychology always does, how do you get it down to its most to its essence, and how does that relate to gaming? I thought it was a really cool video. I think it was really fun watching it. The entire premise was about how to get into this kind of flow state and what kind of games you want to play with flow state. And one of the things that I really thought was interesting was they pointed out how part of reaching flow state is playing something that's slightly above the difficulty you want, or the slightly above your skill level. And I thought that was really interesting because I tend to play games on higher difficulties because I'm always trying to press a little bit further to kind of test myself and play at harder difficulties. Now, I think there's a fine line between that and frustration, which is something you got to watch out for in games and in game difficulty. But it was just always about like being just below that line of like where you would be or what's too difficult. And so I thought it was a really cool article. I thought it was a really cool video talking about kind of how to get flow state, and then he really went into the psychology of flow state. Getting to flow state according to psychology tends to make people happier, and so trying to constantly be in that flow state, and how do we get to that flow state and identify when we're in that state or not, was really cool. So I'll have a link down below to that video. Check it out and let me think. Scuff, the company that makes a lot of controllers and gaming peripherals that you know and love, have come out with their new Instinct model controller. And this one looks exactly like the Xbox Series S and X controller that you know and love, although it does come with the patented skiff kind of 4 buttons on the back. So if you're looking for kind of the elite level controller for your Xbox Series S or X, I believe it's $170 for the Instinct controller. The one thing that I'm worried about is just how much customization can I get with it, because I was looking forward to the Xbox ID being able to customize my nameplates and make it all calc soupsy. So looking forward to seeing that. But Scuff is always a good alternative. Want a little bit more of an elite controller, but with the same size and shape that you typically get from traditional controllers. I really love Scuff stuff. I always liked one of the things I got from them was like a soft pad that gave me a little bit more grip on my controllers before they started putting designs and scratches on the back. That's what I used to kind of get that grip that I like, that was soft but still something I really like their work. In a never-ending pursuit to get all of the horror icons in one place, Dead by Daylight announced that they are bringing another one to their game. The next one will be Pinhead from the Hellraiser series, the one you know and love with all the pins in his head, very on the nose name there. And as one door closes, another one opens. So because this door is open, they are closing the door on the Stranger Things content. So if you want to get any of the Stranger Things content in Among Us, you're gonna have to, or in Dead by Daylight, you're gonna have to do that soon, because that's gonna fall out as well. So Pinraiser's coming in, Stranger Things going away, and gotta get it while it's hot. I think it's always really cool. I like watching them add more and more horror icons to Dead by Daylight. A game I've always known and loved, and something I'm really glad they're doing that. And I think the Stranger Things stuff, like Netflix tends to do a lot of deals that are time sensitive. So it's come out and then they're gonna close the door. So I think this is just kind of the typical Netflix deal. Anything else? Moving right along, speaking of Deathloop, I knew I wasn't going to talk about it too much in QuakeCon, but I did read a really cool article this week talking about how they overcame the quick save problem. And for those of you who don't know, in a lot of immersive kind of shooters or in RPGs and stuff like that, people tend to quick save a lot so that they don't lose too much progress when they're playing through the game. Sometimes, speaking of flow state, that takes you out of flow state. So the fact that they're trying to overcome that and get people into flow state. Hey, look at this. All of this comes together. The fact that they're trying to overcome that, and they said the way they overcame that is there's no saving in the game. You just put it in a time loop and you're able to start over, get back to the same place you were. I tend to play games a little bit slower. So it might take me 2 hours to get somewhere in the game, and then if I die, I'm gonna time loop, get back to that. Which is why I typically shy away from like roguelikes, long tail roguelikes, because I invest a lot of time into them. I feel like I'm doing good, and then I die and get sent back permanently without much or any progress. So but that's a way to get over the quick save problem. People tend to quick save a lot. They don't lose too much progress, and sometimes that can take people out of games. And so to overcome that, you make a game with a time loop that you can go through again and again and again. So that was a pretty cool read. I'll have a link down below in the description. Last but certainly not least, Valheim, a game I know and love. Again, I'll be playing it right after this, so I'm getting really back into it and enjoying seeing what's coming up. They kind of did a dev diary this week talking about the Hearth and Home DLC that's coming out soon, and what's going to be changing. And one of the things that they're changing is the health and stamina system. Right now, health and stamina, regardless of how you kind of consume food, they both go up kind of at the same rate, and they're adding more diversity in kind of what the foods you eat and how it will affect gameplay. So stamina foods will give you a lot more weapons if you want to, or give you a lot more stamina so you can swing your weapon swing your weapon more without your stamina gauge going down, and you'll be able to fight and play a little bit differently because your stamina bar will be different. And then for those who are more tanky, which is how I play the game, the amount of damage you can block is not based on stamina now, it's based on like health. So that'll make the tanks a little bit more hardier, but they'll have less stamina, which you would expect from a tank kind of character. So I thought it was cool adding diversity. Valheim already has 100 different systems working together and in sync. So the fact that they're going even deeper on kind of how the food system works, I think is really interesting. I'm excited to check that out when Valheim Hearth and Hope comes out later this year. That's it for the week. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you do, follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day, you have a super weekend, and I hope you have a super day. Bye!